Previously on Implied Nerdity.
Ice Station Alpha is just me, so it's hard to have minorities when there's only one person.
You are the minority.
It just hates you. It's pretty
Exactly.
anti-Semitic.
You're still the minority even though you're by yourself.
Right.
Which makes you wonder, what is the majority? There's like 3 chairs, but only one me.
And they still outvote you in every election.
God damn it, chairs.
We've been eating a lot of chair food lately.
Like, there's this big stack of potatoes going bad. That's all I'm saying.
No, I can't get the chairs to vote for potatoes to save my life. Literally speaking. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 8 of Implied Nerdity. This week, Jason is out sick, so it's going to be Teresa and Jared, Travis, and me. You guys all remember Travis has been on the podcast before, and he is on our bookcast. This week, we talk a lot about making yourself a better person, find out if you are prone to phubbing, if you're a narcissist, or what other people think of you with the People app, plus a lot more. And don't forget, the first episode of Spine Breakers, our book club podcast, went live just this past week, so be sure to give it a listen if you want to hear what we think of Ernest Cline's Armada, and listen all the way through to find out what we're reading for October. But that's about it, so enjoy the podcast. This week we got Travis subbing in for Jason because Jason is sick. We're assuming there was a bacteria outbreak at Ice Station Alpha. So hopefully he'll discover a cure, or maybe the chairs will discover a cure in enough time for him to be back next week. But welcome, Travis.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Pretty well. The weather's getting cold and crappy, so I don't want to leave my house again until, like, at least March. But,
I was really hoping you were going to be like, the weather's getting cold and crappy, and so am I.
I need to get out of this cold, crappy cold.
No way. It's so much better now.
But what's nice is you actually sound like yourself again. You don't sound like sexy, sultry Travis from the bookcast.
What if I want to stay sexy, salty Travis?
Salty Travis?
Just got weird.
Sexy, salty Travis sweats a lot, so.
That's disgusting. And he's coming slowly.
Slowly. That's the best way to do it.
Oh, man. Don't you wish you could ignore this conversation? What was that?
I'm cool with it.
Oh, that was you, Travis?
That was me.
That's how you know that we're transitioning stories. It's like the music at the Oscars when you talk too long on one subject.
Now I can feel good in the knowledge, knowing that I can leave a mark on every single podcast from this point forward.
At the sound of Travis climaxing, switch to the next story.
Sexy, salty Travis's climax. We need to start talking about stories. So, phubbing. There's your transition. We're going
that sounds dirty, but let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Sexy, salty Travis. We're going to talk about phubbing. And phubbing is apparently...
Is that a euphemism?
It's a portmanteau, not a euphemism. It's a portmanteau.
Is a portmanteau a euphemism?
It's a portmanteau of phone and snubbing. So if you are on your smartphone and you are not paying attention to the people around you, you are phubbing them. And that's PHU, phone and snubbing. And apparently there's like a quiz that you can take, and the Huffington Post shared it. It's from this guy's book called Too Much of a Good Thing. Are You Addicted to Your Smartphone? And so you can take this quiz, and it'll let you know whether or not, well, he wants you to buy his book, but really it'll let you know whether or not you are a victim of phubbing, or if you do too much phubbing yourself. And interestingly, I think we can obviously take the quiz right now so that our listeners can take it along with us and see how bad they do. But I really feel like this entire quiz is sort of just like, a trap.
You feel like this quiz is a trap because you are the number one phubber of all time.
If these are the criteria for phubbing, I think that everybody is gonna get.
Stop.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too, because like every single thing on that list, I'm guilty of doing at least once. So there's some gray area, but most of them I try to keep down to a minimum.
Yeah.
But I think there's a
especially
difference.
if I'm like on a date or something like that. So I think there's some gray area for sure.
Not me. I look at Tinder while on a date.
Tinder, Snapchat, JDate.
Yeah.
All
All day J-date.
All day, hashtag all day JDate.
All day, baby.
From shalom to shalom, hashtag all day JDate. All right, so let's roll through these questions, and then Teresa can tell you what a terrible person I am. So, to figure out, are you a fubber? First one is, when I'm having a meal with others, at home or in a restaurant, I will pull out and check my cell phone. First of all, can I just say, as we go through these questions are written like so terribly suggestively. Like the first time I read that, I will pull out and check my cell phone, I was like, I only do one of those two things.
They're also very broad.
I mean, I have definitely taken out my phone at home or in a restaurant and checked my phone while eating a meal with other people. I mean, can anybody sitting here right now tell me that they've never done that?
Heck no. I always do it.
Teresa?
I do it, but I
do it so much better than everyone else.
No, probably.
I've mastered the art of polite fubbing.
No, I didn't used to do it. But I began.
Are you a
That's
fub
because
master,
smartphones
Teresa?
didn't exist.
Wait, what?
He said that you didn't do it because smartphones didn't exist.
Oh, no. I actually.
And then I called you a fub master.
Fub Master Flex.
I want to be like Fubmaster T. No. I didn't used to do it, actually, and I was, like, very against it. But then Justin is always on his phone at meals, and it's, like, just the two of us. So either he's on his phone and I'm just staring at him on his phone, or I pull out my phone and, dick around on it because there's nothing else to do.
We do.
Well, you
we do
two
have
have been together long enough now that there's really nothing to talk to about new anyway.
Yeah, we do have conversations. I do text her while I'm on my phone.
Your conversation is basically, okay, Justin, it's your turn to change the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Or leave me alone. I'm hashtag I'm fubbing you.
Hashtag fub.
All right, number 2. I always have my cell phone in sight when I am spending time with others. I mean,
No, I am
That I'm pretty guilty of. Like, if I'm at a restaurant or sitting down anywhere, it's like my phone is rarely in my pocket. It's usually right there on the table.
yeah, but your phones are also gigantic, Travis.
Yeah, no, Travis's phones are like the size of my face, so I don't think they could be hidden.
Yeah, they're usually pretty awkward to stay in my pants, because that was a low ball.
This
so
whole
go ahead.
podcast, this whole fucking podcast. Jared,
What?
thank you for paying attention.
You missed that whole
see
thing.
what happens when we let Jared slack off and make me do this, he doesn't listen.
No, I'm listening. Look, I'm fubbing you guys right now. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting off topic of the questions real quick, but like I think you could do all this crap and still be engaged with someone.
I agree.
You can't. No,
I
you
Absolutely.
cannot.
I've had plenty of conversations. It's one thing if you're on your phone, like watching YouTube videos and not listening to the person, but I can scroll, like, I'm not stupid. I can listen to somebody and like scroll through Twitter or whatever at the same time and focus on both.
But you're not focusing on both. First of all,
Except I am.
No, you are absolutely not. The idea of multitasking, we already know, is ridiculous.
Sure. No, that's not real. Yeah, you can't actually focus on two things at once.
Right.
But I guarantee, like, I could listen to two people tell two different stories at the same exact time and recite them both back to people.
Maybe, but you're not engaging with the person.
But can you engage in meaningful
But how?
conversation?
But how
with
much?
both at the same time?
If I'm engaging in meaningful conversation, I'll put down the phone. But if they're just saying like, "Oh my gosh, this is so dumb. I hate this." Like, why do I need to listen? Like, I'm just there to pretend I'm listening, but also half listen so I can be like, "Oh, that must be really difficult," and then
But then you're not actually engaging with the person.
Yeah, but I engage when the conversation matters, like when they're not talking about.
You're just.
stupid
I feel like you're just digging yourself in deeper. And the other thing is, so you're saying that if you were having a meaningful conversation, you would put the phone away. A certain person.
See, I deem when it's meaningful, though, is what I'm saying.
Right, which is
Yeah,
also
exactly.
crap. But I know a certain person.
Not really.
Lay it on us, Fubmaster T.
Who always has his phone out. No matter how important or not important the conversation is.
I'm going to have to stop you right there. This isn't a place to air out your daddy issues.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a joke or not, but
It's a joke. I'm
I'm not gonna
It's a
go anywhere
joke.
with that.
It's a joke. I want to live to see the end of this podcast.
You're not going to.
Continue.
No, I mean, you're always on your phone, no matter what. And I've said this a million times. If I'm talking to you and you're on your phone, you might think that you're multitasking or that it's okay, but what you're telling me is that what's on your phone is either as important or more important than me. And the conversation
I agree
that we're
with
having.
that. I agree with what you're saying. I was just giving you crap before just for the heck of it. But if I'm with someone and like if me and Justin are hanging out and I'm on the phone, he understands that like I'm listening and that I'm not. But it's like if I was with my girlfriend and she wanted to, I don't have a girlfriend, ladies, listen up.
Find him at
JDate.
JDate.
She was talking to me. I would put down my phone and listen. But like,
I'd be thinking about my phone.
It's all about who you're with. Like if you're on a date with someone, it's rude to pull it out. But unless you sign consent forms that you both agree to it.
Oh, this whole podcast.
If we were with other people who understand it, it's not a big deal. That's all I'm saying.
It's both the context of who you're with, and there needs to be mutual understanding of the level of engagement you're going to have with each other, and it's also there are ways you can do it to let the other person know that you are paying attention. Like if you need to glance at a text from like your significant other, you can
while you're on a date.
Well, maybe.
If you have to look at Ashley
you can
Madison,
look the other person in the eye and give encouraging responses, like
good job, way to go.
Ask questions. But there are ways
that?
to engage with them to let them know that you are still paying attention and understanding what they're telling you. So
the thing is, I think that if you're like, so if I'm out with a friend and actually, no, I'll use a different example. My professor, her mother was being put in a hospice the other day, and before class, she was like, guys, I'm really sorry. I have to have my phone out on the table because my mother's being put in hospice. The doctor is going to contact me. And so I apologize. I apologize in advance. That's legit. And if I was out to dinner with you, Travis, and you were like, I'm waiting on
Wait, what?
On our sexy dates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you
Travis's
were like,
bathroom breaks.
you were like, I'm waiting on a message from somebody.
My significant other.
But I feel like that's a very different interaction, though. You and me having lunch somewhere is very different than the teacher-student relationship in a classroom.
Yeah, but I mean,
Depends
I think
on if
that
you're role playing.
If I have made the time to come and be with you, then like, I'm not texting you. I have made the time to be with you in person. So make the time to be with me in person. If you want to check your text messages, then stay home and text me.
But also,
Teresa
in that
demands
scenario,
a lot
you and
of
I
the
have
people
been
around her.
you and I have been friends long enough, and our conversation is easy enough that we can have an engaging conversation and keep each other engaged and entertained. If it's a situation where like they don't know each other all that well, or
even worse.
There's not a whole lot of common interest,
I mean,
then
if there's not a whole lot of common interest, then cut it short. But if you don't know each other that well, and you're like, I'm just going to be talking, I'm going to be on my phone, then you're not going to engage with each other. You're not going to get to know each other very well.
But if you're just there for sex anyway, who cares?
I do see your point there, Teresa. I mean, yeah, I think it is a problem in the fact that it's stunting people's abilities to learn how to have active, engaging conversation with somebody you're not familiar with. I'll totally agree with you there.
I agree with Travis, and like it's all context of who you're with, because the professor makes sense. If the professor was pulling up her phone and like flipping through tweets or whatever.
I actually have a professor who does that when you're talking, by the way. He just like pulls out his phone and starts dicking around on it.
But personally, that wouldn't bother me. But
it bothers the shit
at work,
out of me.
I've been calling out to customers. Like, say I have a customer who's a doctor. I've had a doctor pick up the phone and literally say to me, I can't talk right now because I'm with a patient. A, if you're with a patient, why the hell are you picking up the damn phone? B, why are you going to pick up the phone and then tell me you can't talk and then hang up the phone?
I think it's important, though, to mention that you work with a bank, and when they get that call, if it's a doctor, they're probably like on the golf. I can't talk right now. I'm with a patient. Go away, Travis.
But like in the scenario, if I was hanging out with one of you guys and you're like, I'm going to have my phone out because I'm waiting for a text, I'd be like, I just look at you weird and be like, why are you telling me that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's necessary for me at least. If you're out with me, I don't care.
Yeah, if I'm hanging out with friends and I have my phone out, I mean, sometimes it'll be because I'm, waiting on a text. Sometimes it'll be that.
No, sometimes it's that you're waiting on a text. Sometimes it's
I'll
that
be on Facebook. Sometimes, I'll be checking an email that came in. Sometimes I'll want to pull up a funny picture that I want to show everybody that somebody sent me or that I found. These are all reasons that I check my phone. And sometimes I just want to ignore my wife, like I'm doing right now.
So the next example
Go on.
In the article where he talks about like Beyonce standing behind Jay-Z while he's flipping through his phone. I mean, I know it's just an example, and who really knows what was going on there, but like it's not that big of a deal. It's not like it was their anniversary and Jay-Z was making deals or whatever on his phone.
Well, the thing is, I think I sound more hardline than I am in reality, just because it is something that makes me crazy personally. Like we've gotten to the point where if we're going to a nice restaurant, I have to tell Justin that he has to leave his phone in the car.
I'm an important businessman.
Right. Well, that's the thing. He's always like, Teresa, what are you doing? Teresa, I'm doing stuff for the website. Justin, that doesn't even make sense. Why would you be doing stuff for the website?
Why would anybody do anything for anything? Why would
any
you
sense.
be doing anything for anybody ever?
But like, you know, there are times I take out my phone. There are times, like, if we were all driving in the car. Like, I don't think that you just have to, all of your interactions have to be staring deeply into each other's eyes. But I really do think that for some people in particular, phubbing is a problem. And
that seems like more of an issue. No offense, Justin, but I'm going to say something that might be offensive. That seems like an issue with Justin more than the cell phone.
Oh no, but that's the thing. I think phubbing is 100% the person and like 0% the phone's
Well, it also takes
like
knowing who you're
angry at his
with too.
phone.
Like if we were having lunch with Jared, we would know that he doesn't give a damn about that, so we don't really have to make an effort.
Don't make any effort.
You don't even have to show up.
Like I have a buddy at work. We go to lunch sometimes, but when we do go to lunch, we're sitting there for 45 minutes at lunch, and we'll both be buried in our phones and barely talk to each other. And it's like, well, why even are we going to lunch together? Because
It turns out Travis actually hasn't been going to lunch with anybody. It's his reflection in his smartphone.
We go riding together and we hang out.
Every morning he's in my bathroom while I'm brushing my teeth.
I swear he's real.
All right, real quick, back to the list. I want to just go over the other questions on the list. So that was, I have my phone in sight when I'm when I'm spending time with others. I often keep my cell phone in my hand when I'm with others. I don't think having your cell phone in your hand counts as phubbing. If you're if you're looking at your phone.
Why can't you just put it in your damn pocket?
What if I don't want it in my pocket? What if I want
my hand in front of my face?
So like right now, I'm sitting here and I'm talking to the three of you guys, and I have my cell phone in my right hand, but I'm not paying attention to my phone.
But what message does that send to the person that's talking to you if you're sitting there phone in hand?
That you're just sitting there holding your phone. The screen on my phone isn't even on.
I don't think it sends a message if you're just holding the phone.
I think it absolutely does, because the thing is that Justin had his phone on the table before. Okay, whatever. And then as soon as he picks up the phone, it looks like he's poised to use the phone. You don't just like hold objects for no reason.
Teresa, there are often a lot of times where if I'm wearing jeans, I will take my phone out of my pocket
Justin
and my
wears
wallet
skinny jeans a lot?
out of my pocket. No, I'll take my phone out of my pocket and my wallet out of my pocket because sometimes it's uncomfortable to sit with those things in my pocket.
Yeah, but that's...
But I'm not going to just put my phone on the phone. I don't want to phub you. I know we're on the sidewalk, but let me put my phone down so that you don't get the impression that I'm poised to use it.
I could stick it in my bra, so wear a bra.
I don't want to stick it in my bra. I have very sensitive nipples.
Stick it in my bra, Justin.
I'm just going to do that to other people. I don't want
just put it in someone else's bra.
I don't want you to think that I'm poised to use my phone. Excuse me while I tuck it into your bosoms.
No, it's cold. Stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I went for an interview recently, and the guy walked
He
out.
tucked his phone into the interviewer's bosoms.
It was a larger man, but he had a phone in his hand, and I wasn't like, you have to justify to me why you have that phone in your hand right now.
You think he was poised to use it?
I think he was poised to use it, and I was pissed.
As we've discussed, so holding your phone, only Teresa seems to think that means you're poised to use it. You're holding it and you're poised to use it. If the cell phone rings or beeps, pulling it out to, check if you're talking with somebody or glancing at your phone when you're talking to somebody. I mean, a lot of, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these, I guess if you do them frequently, then it's a problem. But if you're just on occasion, maybe I was waiting for an important phone call or maybe an important text. I think phubbing has to be more direct. Phubbing has to be like, I am talking to you, you are in your phone, and when it is your turn to speak, you do not respond. I think that, because I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these are incidental things where you could be doing them, but you're also still an active participant in the world around you.
I feel like snubbing is a conscious choice to do.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I can understand what it looked like from the other person's view if you're not, giving them your full attention.
The other thing is that we have this article, but there was actually a follow-up article about the effects of phubbing, and it wasn't the effects of phubbing on the other person, which is obviously like in Master Phubber Justin's case, the effects on the other person are that she's pretty fucking pissed off all the time.
Pretty phubbing.
Yeah, pretty phubbing, pissed off all the time. No, but they actually found that with phubbing, the phubber, like, tends to score higher.
Isn't that a Robin Williams movie?
Yeah. Tends to score higher in tests, like, trying to determine depression or anxiety or feelings of like social separation. And so like I know that Justin is not like, I would like to be depressed and anxious today, but you're putting up that barrier.
You don't know anything about me.
I know. No, they did a study at a university and they found that it's like creating those kinds of feelings in people, and so you're putting up these barriers and you think that they're not that big of a deal or that they're affecting the other people around you, but everyone should just suck it up, and it is actually having an effect on you emotionally.
On this week's episode of Implied Nerdity, I walk into an intervention.
Yeah, basically. Look, the one time I tried to give someone an intervention, we locked him in a room, turned on a smoke machine and a strobe light, and yelled intervention. It didn't go well.
I'm still recovering.
The end.
Just don't let him get an Apple Watch.
I really want an Apple Watch.
Yeah, she wants an Apple Watch.
I really do. And
her entire argument comes crumbling down.
I really do want an Apple Watch.
Well, that's actually been a really interesting thing for me since I got my Android watch. Is like now it's like whenever I get a notification, it lights up, and it's even if my phone is in my pocket, if I'm conversing with somebody,
you're always poised to use it.
Yeah, and it's you can't really hide a watch going off and lighting up right in somebody else's face. So it's like, oh, do I glance at my watch or I don't want to spend time with them? It's just really weird, and it kind of changes things in a way that I haven't really fully figured out how to deal with yet.
Well, I mean, that's sort of the onset of new technology, but I think I agree with Jared. Snubbing is an active choice.
That you're doing it to me.
Yeah, that I'm doing to you. But it could also just boil down to narcissism. You could just be a narcissistic person, which according to a study out of Ohio State University, all it takes to determine whether or not you are dealing with a narcissistic person is to ask them if they're a narcissist. I guess there was a study, Ohio State University did this study that they were trying to see if they needed to use what's called the narcissistic personality inventory, or if perhaps there was an easier way to determine narcissism in a person, because the NPI I guess is 40 questions, and it can take upwards of 10 to 15 minutes to complete. But this new one, which they're calling the single item narcissism scale, or SINS, is just one question, one single item. And it's to what extent do you agree with this statement? I am a narcissist. And they note the word narcissist means egotistical, self-focused, and vain. And they rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 7, 1 being not very true and 7 being very true. And
speaking of, am I the only one who thought that was a weird scale to choose instead of like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10?
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of an arbitrary 1 to 7.
I think it's that they want to have like the middle number being the neutral. So the middle number. So 4 is the neutral, and then there's like a little bit sort of true, very
I guess you would have to
true,
come up with a lot of them to get to 10. Like, not true with me, kind of true, somewhat true, neutral,
Fair enough,
but the other way.
I like that, but the other way.
But the other way. The other on the other side. No, I mean, I guess this makes sense though. I guess if you really are narcissistic, you're probably gonna just I'm narcissistic.
I don't know. I've known people who I would consider narcissistic, but they aren't like proudly proclaiming that they are.
I think in the age of the internet, this is the perfect scale. I mean, how many times do you see those memes going around where it's like, if you can't deal with me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, and all those kinds of things. I mean, that's pure
I post that to my Facebook so all the boys know.
All the boys when they bring all their their milkshakes to the yard.
That's a dirty song, Justin. This isn't appropriate.
Who brings their milkshakes to the
I
yard?
thought that you would bring.
Oh, your
Don't you
milkshake
bring your-
brings all the boys to the yard.
Yeah, I don't think the boys bring.
Boys, bring your
milkshakes.
milkshakes.
in my perfect world, everyone brings me milkshakes. Okay,
That's Justin's cover version of the song.
everybody bring your milkshakes to my yard.
Leave them
That's
there
it.
for
That's
me.
the
Tribute.
They're for me, and then
And then go away.
go away. No peanut butter.
No, I mean, I think it's super interesting that they had this, 40 question test, and it turns out they just had to be like, so are you a narcissist? But at the same time, I think this is one of those things where, like, now that this information is readily available, it's easier, like, it's harder to cheat on a 40 question test. And while it's super interesting to find out that apparently narcissists are self-aware and totally okay with it, I don't think
I feel like that's no big revelation, though. I mean, the one quote the guy said is, what was it? People who are willing to admit they're more narcissistic than others probably actually are more narcissistic.
That is like
I read
the
that and was like,
dumbest
well, duh.
statement. Yeah, people who eat apples are probably more likely to like apples.
Right.
But, I think that at this point, because this information exists, if somebody were to, like, okay, so when I first read this story, I just walked into the kitchen, I was like, hey, Justin, are you a narcissist? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, then. But I feel like now, if he was in some sort of, like, scenario where someone was asking him, are you a narcissist? Rate yourself from 1 to 7. Like, he would know. So he'd be like, I rate myself very low on the narcissism scale.
No, but I wouldn't, though. That's the whole point, is I think and that's the other thing. I think everybody's a little bit narcissistic.
That's what a narcissist would say.
That's exactly what they would say. No, I promise I have tons of narcissistic friends. I'm not.
Oh yeah,
really that
I'm super
narcissistic.
self-centered. Like, that's my one thing. So yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like there'd be a lot less number of people that would know where they fall in the middle of the scale. Like, I feel like the super narcissistic people would be not afraid to admit it wholeheartedly, but then on the opposite end of the scale, somebody who's not narcissistic would be very, upfront about giving themselves like a 1 or a 2, but everybody in the middle would just be like,
I would be
I don't know.
suspicious of someone.
Yeah,
who
don't
gave
you have to
themselves
be
a 1
kind of
or a 2.
narcissistic to give
Yeah.
yourself a 1 or a 2?
If you,
I
if
don't
you
think
give yourself
so.
a 1 or a 2, I would be like auto suspicious of you. Like, I'm not self-absorbed or self-focused or egotistical or vain at all. Bitch, yes you are. Stop.
Ooh, snap, snap, snap.
I don't know. I gave
suppose.
myself like a 3 or something. I don't know. I didn't take the test, but if I would get it is a difficult test. But if I would do it, I'd probably give myself a 3 or something like that. I don't
But
know.
you just said you're very narcissistic.
No, I said I'm self-focused, but I'm not vain. Look at me, and I'm not egotistical necessarily.
You don't have. You can be ugly and vain.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm just calling you ugly.
Oh.
You can be ugly and vain.
Oh, thank
Look
you.
at Justin. He's a narcissist.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like
Narcissists are usually hot.
a lot of these,
Not always.
a lot of these studies just perplex me. And this is one of them, because it's just like, okay, so we have a means of determining if somebody is narcissistic, but I've never needed a scientific test for that. I've never been around someone who's very narcissistic and been like, I wish there was a scientific test
Yeah, I know.
so that I could tell for
with
certain.
with psychological diagnoses, they like to be able to have, more objective ways of classifying a disorder than just like, you walk into your shrink's office and they're like, God, you're an asshole. Definitely narcissist. Like, they want to have some kind of.
You know how many
more-
times I had a psychologist or psychiatrist just call me an asshole?
God, you're an asshole.
You can pay your copay up front.
Yeah. And we're out of time.
Yes, we've made a lot of progress. You're an asshole. Let's pick up from this
We'll
next
pick up
week.
right here next week.
Yeah. I don't know. So I think that definitely plays into the phubbing thing. I think a narcissist would be much more likely to phub somebody than somebody who, I guess, would not be. That should be part of the scale. Would you phub somebody? Scale 1 to 7.
Can we?
Yeah, I would.
Can we agree
Justin,
that we're
7.
not actually going to use the word "fub" like in real life?
Well, that's the thing.
It's too late. It's already been done.
It was the headline, and I didn't know, and I had to Google it. I was like, "What is phubbing?"
Yeah, I
Are
did
people
too.
actually using that outside of this guy's one?
No, I think that this
God, I
is,
hope not.
stop trying to make phubbing a thing. It's not a thing.
I'm not
You
trying
want
to
to
make
know how
phubbing
you
a
stop
thing.
making phubbing a
Yeah,
thing?
stop saying
Don't
it.
put it in the headline.
I've heard much worse portmanteaus than phubbing. That's for sure.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's okay to use it.
I don't think people are going to use it because nobody wants to admit to doing it. So I don't think.
But people are going to be like, "You're totally phubbing me right now."
No, I'm still probably just going to yell at Justin for being a douche. I'm not going to say you're phubbing me.
Look at it this way. The easiest way to stop people from using phubbing is if they decide to use it, you can jump on this new app, People, and rate them very low. And if a lot of people get rated low for using the word phubbing, then they won't use it anymore because everybody's going to want to be rated high in this app where you can forcibly rate other people whether or not they like it. Have you guys heard of this one?
To some extent.
Before this article?
I had seen it earlier in the week, but I hadn't dug too deep into it until just today.
Because this was submitted to us by one of our listeners.
Yes, thank you. Because I actually wanted to talk about this, so yay, listeners.
But there's this app coming out called People, but it's spelled Peeple, and it's essentially Yelp, but Yelp for people. And so if you meet somebody, or like, you're somebody cuts you in line at the coffee shop and you happen to hear the barista like call out their name, you can jump on People and you need their cell phone number, don't you? Yeah, you need their cell phone number. But regardless, I mean, if you run into somebody and they do something that you don't like,
I hate you. Can I have your phone number, please?
And you happen to have their phone number, you could give them a negative rating, and it's this huge. And you have if they have your cell phone number, at this point you have absolutely no recourse for removing your bad rating from this app.
They say this in the article, but how do they even verify? Like, are they, when you install this app, are they looking at all my contacts and then somehow verifying that number is attached to me? I'm not okay with that. That's crazy.
Well, no, you're giving that information away. So the person that's rating you. Well, yeah.
But if I don't install it,
how would they know that's your phone number?
Like, if I don't install it, but you install it, and you have my number, and then you rate me, how does it verify that that's me?
Yeah, that's your phone number.
It doesn't. It sends you a text and say, "Hey, somebody left you a message on this website. Go check it out."
And then I guess if it's not you, you can.
Oh, then you can enter anyone's phone number. Then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's one of my many problems with this project, is that not only just I don't want the site to have my phone number, I don't want them texting me, I don't want them calling me, I don't want them to know anything. And to even respond to that comment, to even look at it, you have to sign up for the service and buy into their stupid thing anyway.
You can't do anything, even if, like it was saying, if you get a negative rating, that's just sort of too damn bad. Like, you can't do anything about it. You can't remove it. You can't. It's just there. But the point is, so I don't know. Do any of you guys watch the show Community, or did you watch it when it was on network?
I watched the first season.
No.
Okay, so when it was worth watching. In season 5, they had an episode.
6 seasons in a movie.
Yes, they had an episode. And this was in 2014, where there was an app, and it was called Meow Meow Beans. And in Meow Meow Beans, you rated people from 1 to 5. And the whole the whole episode was about how ridiculous this was and how it created this absurd situation.
It was very Hunger Games post-apocalyptic.
Right. It got crazy because of Community. But as soon as I heard this story, I was like, so people just made Meow Meow Beans a real thing. You just turned an episode of Community into an actual app. This is ridiculous. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and also, the more I read about this story, the more upset about it I got. And eventually I was at the point of Teresa raging at Victoria era girl levels.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, especially because the reasonings that they give, the founder, Nicole McCullough, comes at the app from a different angle. As a mother of 2 in an era where people don't always know their neighbors, she wanted something to help her decide whom to trust with her kids. I mean, if that's what you're going to base it on, you're going to just let me check your rating on people.
Yeah, screw that.
That's
the same mentality behind the people that look at Metacritic to decide if a movie is safe for their children. It's if as a parent, it's your responsibility to go out and make an effort to meet the people your children are interacting with instead of just having your computer do it for them.
No, because then I have to make an effort, Travis. I don't want to make an effort for my kids.
The thing is,
I need to. I'm so busy phubbing people. The only way I'm going to get to know them is if I look at their rating on this app.
But the other thing is people. I hate online reviewing in general, so I should probably just come out and be like, I hate reviews all around. Because the people who review things are usually, like, the crazy people who say unreasonable things. And so, like, you want to know who you can trust with your kids? I should probably go and look and see what all of their douchey exes have to say about them, because that's probably who's rating you.
Yeah, well, and they talk about that rating bias, because this is true, like, whenever I see surveys at restaurants or retail stores or anything, there's only two people who take surveys. People who absolutely vehemently hated the experience, or people who want to run out on the street and grab the first stranger they see and bring them close and tell them all about the phenomenal experience they just had. There is no in
And even
between,
then, the
and
negative ones far
get.
outweigh the positive ones.
Yeah, because there's fewer positive experiences, and it's just, so it's this rating bias.
You need to take and the rating bias, like you said, they do mention in the article, but also, excuse me, you need to take, I always feel like you have to take negative ratings with a whole freaking shaker of salt, because, they mentioned Rate My Professors, and I know on Rate My Professor...
Hot, not hot.
Most of the professors that I really like and think have been the most worthwhile get terrible ratings, because people are like, they're so hard.
Gave a lot of homework.
They expect you to do your homework, and they make you talk in class, and it's the worst, and they're so mean. Or like on Yelp, people will complain about just the most absurd things.
Well, I mean, all reviews are subjective. There's no objective truth in the review, really. So, like,
well, no, but yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is, like, for example, on people who will review badly tend to, I think, over embellish to justify their negative review.
Sure.
So, like, there was my mother-in-law was looking for a hotel to stay at in the town where Justin and I live, and she was looking at reviews online for hotels, and she found Holiday Inn, which is like an okay hotel, and she was
Never heard of it.
She was like, I can't stay here because the review says there was blood all over the room. And I was like, that's not true, though.
They chose the blood room.
Yeah. Well, I was like, there's blood all over the room, and there was definitely glitter in the drains, and there was hair places, and it looked like it had never been cleaned. And
There was hair places, like on the other customers' heads.
Yeah. I mean, and I just was reading this, and the thing is, my mother-in-law was like, we can't stay there. Obviously, this is what all the rooms are like.
My mom listens to this podcast.
Well, she was the one who said it.
So sorry. It is crazy how they're saying this is like a positivity app. Like, the whole logic behind this is completely ridiculous. Like, they're talking about like they're making some life-changing thing here, and did you guys watch the video?
I didn't watch the video just because I didn't want to give them the benefit of the extra view.
You missed out because these are two delusional people.
I mean,
I don't need to watch the video to realize how naive and delusional they are.
They refer to themselves as, what is it, bubbly trendsetters? A bubbly, no-holds-barred, trendy lady.
Yeah, it's like it honestly feels like two people who have some vendetta against someone, but they don't want to make it look that way. So they try to see, like, it's like all these positive things you can do with it. It's going to be great. It's like, yeah, they are providing a service that doesn't exist right now, and that's
there
whatever.
are plenty of ways to reach out and rate people on public social media.
Well, they're just trying to like solidify the general like Mean Girls social order.
The thing that kills me about this is that there is so much potential out there for social apps that actually do well. And granted, some of them are very much dependent on where they're created and what they're for. But like I think it's Norway. It's either Norway or Greenland. It's one of the countries in that general area.
That's that other part of the map, whatever.
But no, the reason I think it's Norway, where like everybody is so closely they're so closely related.
Where you have to find out,
it's
make
like
sure you
Finland
don't.
or something like
Finland.
that.
Yeah, you have to go into the app, and it goes into the database, the citizen database, and it can tell you whether or not you're about to accidentally shtup your cousin. You know, and
hey, there's not always an accident. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Well, there's enough alcohol.
There's probably an app for that too. Look up with your cousin.
Hey, it's not illegal in the United States. Leave me alone.
But
Actually, that's what we should do. We should just make a Shtup Your Cousin app. That's what we'll call it.
Well, I mean, like there's that and like those actually have a purpose, but this doesn't even have a like the way they justify it, she's like, but that's feedback. That you can do a lot of good with that. You know what this is going to lead to?
Their justification was basically, why not?
People change their names on Facebook so that when they go to a job interview, employers can't find their Facebook pages and judge whether or not to hire them because of something that they don't like on their Facebook page. If this kind of a thing really gets rolling, which I mean, I really don't think any of us believe that it will, but if this thing really gets rolling, I mean, you go into your job interview, you sit down and the first thing they do is pull up this app and go, so you're like a 1 on people. I'm just going to say
Somebody
no.
says
and it's
that
like,
you're
dude,
ugly and you smell like farts.
and you graduated, I know you graduated top of your class in physics from Harvard, but Joe went to community college and everybody thinks he's cool. So we're going to go with Joe. You know, it just seems like
I think that it could get downloads because people... I just know that there are going to be people who they're like, I don't want to do this. And then they get the text that's like, you've been rated. Well, now I have to find out what I've been rated. You gave me a 2. This is crap. Well, I'm going to rate you back. And now my friend's on here, so I better rate them well. And then I need to get my friends to rate me well because now I'm on here and I can't do anything about it.
It'll be like Foursquare.
Saying that
I'm the mayor of me.
There's already enough pressure out there with social media being what it's become with Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and pretty much every other way for you to be publicly shamed and threats made toward you and things like that. What about people that have anxiety issues or self-esteem issues or depression? They already have to worry about all that stuff. Now add on this other service where they have literally no control over it and no way to opt out of it. And it's just another thing to add to all that just garbage that's thrown out there on the internet.
I mean, I feel like the phone number thing in some ways is kind of a way to opt out of it. Maybe if you don't respond to the text that comes through, it gets deleted because it can't verify that it's actually you or something like that. So
they don't really talk about how that works.
There might be safeguards, is what I mean. We don't know for sure.
There was one statement in there that said if you haven't registered, meaning you can't defend yourself, your profile will only show positive reviews. That's probably like the one bright spot in the entire article.
Well, she also said that, they're trying to take, suggestions from the community. So if you don't
stop developing it.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that would stop it.
But she's saying, if people have a problem with it and they want to be able to opt out, if they get enough feedback saying, I want to be able to opt out of this, they'll just do it. I don't understand how they haven't encountered that yet. Like, I can't understand how that wasn't the first thing.
I think most people don't
said.
actually care about it.
That plus she also was the one that said, it doesn't matter how far apart we are in likes or dislikes. All that matters is what people say about us. I mean, that right there just clearly shows that she's been brought up in a culture of, your worth being reduced to what the masses say about you rather than, having your actions and behavior just kind of stand on their own. And
yeah, it's basically you are the same as that onesie that I bought for my daughter on Carter's.com and rated.
I am alive. You cannot punish me for being alive.
Whatever. I don't care. You can rate me. Anyone feel free to rate me. Ask me for my phone number. I'll let you do it. Doesn't bother me. But, I think...
we should, once the service goes live, we should all just, rate these 2 girls and just, give them shit. On their own service.
I was like, who are you talking about?
So turn all that hate that you were talking about earlier back on them.
Yes.
So
because that's the way to handle
it. Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't give a crap if this thing exists. I'm sure some people will get some stuff out of it. And cool, whatever. If people want to do that, that's fine. I don't know. It's your choice to get upset about it, I think. So just ignore it. If everyone just ignores this thing, this will go away pretty quickly. So I don't think anyone needs to worry about someone said something bad about me on People. Just ignore it, and I'm sure it won't catch on. I can't see a lot of people who want to... how many people want to put their name to something horrible that they want to say about someone else?
I think one of the advantages is that you have to be 21 to use the app, because if this was released to high schoolers...
Oh my God, or middle schoolers...
It would be like wildfire.
Well, I think it's not hard to fake that though.
I don't think that's going to be a problem at all because people use fake Facebook profiles and can come up with fake phone numbers all the time. It's not hard.
Yeah. And plus, you might have to use your real name. Like, I don't know how it works if it attaches it to your. I don't know how they're going to figure this stuff out. But if you have to use your real name and there's no way of getting around that, I think that's probably the best way, because how many people have the gall to go up to someone and be like, "I hate you"? Very few people are that.
But they also
brazen.
didn't say anything about how they plan to police that or vet that process or anything like that. So that's a big question mark in my eyes.
I'm upset that Jason's not here, mostly because I hate Travis, but also because see, I'm okay with it, Travis. I would rate you a 1. No, but because Jason actually a long time ago had this great idea for a Facebook app called the Awkward Turtle app, where like when you unfriended somebody, it would tell them that you unfriended them, and then you had to deal with, like, it gave a consequence to unfriending somebody.
Isn't that still a thing? Don't they still have services that will tell you all that stuff?
They have a service where if you sign up for it, it'll tell you if someone unfriends you.
See, I didn't even know that was a thing, but I remember
Yeah.
I remember Jason wanted to cut. This was years ago, but he would have probably brought that up now, because that would have been.
But yeah, you have to sign up for the service, and it doesn't tell you like who has unfriended you previously. It just notifies you if there's a change.
Have you guys ever unfriended someone and then get a message from them asking why you unfriended them?
No,
sure I
but
have
I've
at one
received
point
a
or
repeat
another.
friend request like less than a day later.
I do massive unfriendings of people, because pretty much once you post something that is like, all right, like, I don't care about this, you're really annoying, I just unfriend you. I know I can hide your post, but you're still there. So, like, what if one gets through? You never know. So, I just, like, remove people. I've had multiple people be like, why'd you remove me as a friend? I was like, because you post stupid crap on my timeline.
You're dumb.
Yeah, basically, you're dumb.
Everyone's dumb. No, see, the way I do it, the easiest way I do it is every day I look at my, this person has a birthday notifications. And if you're not somebody that I would go up to and say happy birthday to your face, I unfriend you. Happy birthday.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't really unfriend people. I think I've
You only accumulate friends.
No, I hide people and I unfollow people. I think I've only like unfriended people in situations where I like did not want them to see what I was doing also. Like, it wasn't just that I
Speaking
didn't
of which,
want to...
Teresa, I sent you a new friend request.
Yeah. No, like, people, like, that it wasn't just that I looked like they were annoying and said stupid stuff, but, like, I didn't want them to be involved in my life at all or know what was going on with me. So...
Well, usually if I don't want to be in their life at all, I wouldn't have accepted the friend request in the first place.
Well, I have people that I was okay with before, you know, like, things change. Facebook's been around for 10 years, so...
I mean, that's kind of what I do. I mean, every once in a while, I'll look through, and if there's people there that either A, I can't remember who they are, or B, I haven't even interacted with anything they've posted in like 6 months.
Travis, I want, next time you remove someone that you don't remember who they are, I want you to send them a message first in all caps with lots of exclamation marks going, "Who are you?" And then remove them before they can respond.
Not my friend.
Speaking of Facebook,
Because
because that's where we source all of these stories from. You probably saw on Facebook recently that NASA had a huge discovery. They found water on Mars, and this
current
water, like today, there is water on Mars,
flowing water.
This
not
day,
frozen water.
as you are listening to these words, there is a little trickle of fluid running across Mars's surface, and that. See, like, I guess it didn't register with me at first how big of a deal that was. Like, I read the story, I was like, oh, there's water on Mars. Okay. And then, like, I was like, okay, NASA, whatever, good for you. And then...
My husband, the scientist, everyone.
You know, and then, like...
Good on you, NASA.
And then, like, my brain immediately went to the Doctor Who movie, The Waters of Mars. And I was like, oh, hey, water on Mars is a bad thing, according to that movie. And then I was like, oh, wait, holy crap, water on Mars. That's
I want you to write a letter to NASA.
And it's actually...
I want you to write a letter to NASA citing that episode of Doctor Who and say, yeah, you probably shouldn't do this. It's not that safe.
Nah, not until I see the TARDIS show up on my doorstep. But no, I mean, I was just like, it dawned on me at that point. And I mean, this is all in like the matter of like 30 seconds. It wasn't like up until a minute before the podcast.
Helena was just like crying in her crib. Someone take care of me. And he's like, water on Mars.
Water on Mars. David Bowie. Huh.
Oh, damned.
Actually, I thought it was kind of funny because it made me think a lot about, Armada.
Why?
You know, because that's the whole like thing. You know that Europa is mostly it's frozen, and then all of a sudden they find the species, this life living under the surface, supposedly. Listen to the Armada bookcast if you want more.
See, it made me just think of Martian because that movie just came out. I've been reading the book. Supposedly that site, one of the craters where they found the water, is like the site of the landing spot they use in the movie. So,
oh crap, The Martian's true. It's
what?
real.
Mars Attacks is happening
right now. No, it is. I think it's really cool. Like, I wish I understood more about the science.
Generally.
Yeah, I wish I understood more about things.
In general, I wish I knew things.
This is just I'm just putting this out there for everyone listening. I wish I knew things. No, I just like it's a big deal, and they're saying, you know, well, we always believed that there was terrestrial life under the surface of Mars, and this water showing up, you know, is definitely proof that there could be. But, you know, it also could mean when they say terrestrial life, you know, they're talking like little amoeba and like that.
Yeah, like microscopic
that's
plant life or proteins or something, but
that's still a huge deal.
It
you know,
is.
that's the building blocks for future generations to see life develop.
That's
on
why
Mars.
we need to kill it now.
Yes. Somebody goes up there with a giant fan
Let's build a wall.
and just starts drying up all the water, like a wetback. They just attach a wetback to a rover and send
They
it
just
up.
put a lot of those little silica packets on Mars.
We drop ShamWows.
They send Vince, the guy from ShamWow, up there with the and a
slap chop.
the slap chop, just in case he encounters any plant life. Oh man, no, but I thought one of the other things that was interesting that they mentioned is that there was a point at which Mars, they said, you know, was like covered in oceans, you know, the size of the northern hemisphere of Earth, you know, and it's like we're still trying to learn what happened, what caused this huge catastrophic shift in the way the planet is composed. And also now we're finding out that there's water today. So we're trying to piece A to Z together. But I mean, you know, the question is what's next? I mean, you know, they say we need to send scientists up there. We need to send people to Mars. And it's
like a 3-month trip or something, isn't it? Or is it longer than that?
I think it's longer than that.
I think it's longer than that. I think it's...
Travis, you saw The Martian. How long did it take him to get to Mars?
Yeah, what did Matt Damon do?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Let's just send Matt Damon. Who needs scientists?
Yeah, let's just say Project Greenlight goes to Mars.
Yeah, he knows everything.
I want to say it's like at least a year. I mean, unless we can figure out how to travel faster than we can right now.
We are all sitting in front of computers.
Yeah, somebody
How long does it take?
Oh, look, it was like the second thing.
How long does it take to get to Mars? Yeah, that's
After a passport.
Yeah,
That's the second thing.
about 260 days.
Okay, so we were all definitely wrong.
This, by the way, is called the Hohmann transfer orbit and is the mainstay of interplanetary space travel. It depends on the details of the orbit you take between Earth and Mars. The typical time during Mars' closest approach to the Earth, every 1.6 years, is about 260 days. And that's from NASA.
That's like
So
way less than I thought.
It would take about, you know, just almost 2/3 of a year.
about
I
9
guess I
months or
wasn't
so.
really accounting for like the speed of space travel because I was like, it would probably take forever. Look how long it takes to get to LA. Jesus, you're going to be traveling for like 30
Teresa, they're
years.
not doing it in an airplane.
Just like riding a little space bike trying to get to Mars.
But no, I think it's kind of cool that we're at a point now because, you know, obviously we're always talking about, you know, sending people to this planet, sending people to that planet. And everyone's like, well, yeah, but it's a ton of money and a ton of effort and a ton of time. And it's not necessarily, you know, worth it. But now we have a justification where it's like, okay, we found, I almost said like running water. Like we found a faucet. Someone left a faucet on Mars. We need to send somebody up there to turn off. But now we
Their water
actually,
bill is going to be insane.
we have a reason to justifiably send people to Mars. And that's kind of cool.
always had a justifiable reason, but then I'm also...
I mean, yeah, because we want to know more, but...
Well, I mean, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to figure out the
Oh, no,
logistics
we're not
of
just
that. I mean,
sticking
it's-
a monkey...
Turns out it's really,
No,
really hard.
We blew up a bunch of stuff while trying to shoot other stuff to Mars. I think we should just send someone up there just to test it out.
Alone, probably.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, you know, and there's all those special companies that are trying to do privatized spaceflight and people signing up to be the first colonists of Mars and blah, blah, blah. But this is like, we always had a reason, because let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can put a human being on another planet, not just, the moon. We're going to send a human being to another planet in our solar system and have them step on the surface and see if it's possible. Well, that's great, but it's really hard to justify the expense just to say, look what we did. But now we have this flowing water, this natural water source, this damn faucet.
But someone's got to turn it off. California's in a drought, and
this is
things are getting rough.
Inconsiderate. We have this reason where it's like, okay, now it's still expensive, but we really need to investigate this. What if we find, something unbelievable there? Because up until now, the idea of fresh water,
Well, it wasn't that long ago that the idea that there was frozen water on Mars blew everyone's mind. So yeah, the idea that there's this flowing
seasonal water.
Yeah, this water that's not frozen. It's just like water is insane.
When they're like 3 billion years ago, there was like oceans or whatever, I'm like, is that true? Or do you just know that I don't know how to figure out whether or not that's true? And that's what I'm telling you.
They're
That's
just
half of
trolling
what
you.
NASA
Because
does.
I'm not going to make the effort to know.
They have that one statement that they say in here where they have that satellite that can snap a picture of a dust storm and just from the picture profile the gases in the atmosphere. And, they have that ground penetrating radar, which can look for ice water trapped underground and analyze minerals. So I don't have a hard time believing that the technology exists for them to say, okay, this many billion years ago, this was an ocean based on if I can look at a picture and that picture can tell me all of the gases in the atmosphere. I mean, my iPhone can't do that.
I was just making a joke, but yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying, I think that they clearly have the technology to really be able to determine these things. And that's kind of
I know,
cool.
it's another discussion, but I always feel like 3 billion, like, how did you come up with that number? Like,
it's a perfectly round number.
Yeah. It
Exactly.
sounds good. No one's going to be able to figure out how to look past 1 billion, so we're safe.
pesky
We're safe
Jared.
at 3.
I'm gonna start a new Twitter called NASA Bullshit, at NASA Bullshit. And whenever they come out with something, I'm just gonna be like, bullshit. At NASA Bullshit.
Just have a cup of water, like you just filled up a glass of water, and you're like, we got NASA here, or we got NASA here.
This cup of water is NASA.
We got water here, NASA, whatever.
You guys see that stupid meme that's going around where it's
Well,
like,
it's funny the first time.
yeah, where Mars is like, hey, Earth, come over. No, I'm busy. And then Mars is like, I'm wet. And NASA's like, we're coming right now. Way to reduce science to stupid stuff.
Hey, sex is always cool.
I mean, I chuckled the first time I saw it, and then now I want to unfriend everyone that forwards it.
Well, it's a meme.
That's the problem when you take high-level concepts and try to boil them down to memes for the sake of hoping that they catch on and distribute the news to the masses. Kind of like what the UN is trying to do right now with their 17 global initiatives, which, are apparently this plan that the UN has put forward to try to change the world. And it's 17 goals to end extreme poverty, abolish inequality, and improve the environment, among other things, by the year 2030. So we are now, it's 2015. So in 15 years, they want to end extreme poverty, abolish inequality, improve the environment, and then 14 other sustainable development goals.
And some other stuff.
And here's the thing. Why are these all things that we decided to do now? Shouldn't we have been trying to do these things for a long time?
They do have sustainable. They've had them in the past.
I know,
Because
but
you can only
They just
defeat these
reinvented
things
the
with
radio.
hashtags and selfies.
And cute little cartoon movies.
yeah. So the way that they're trying to get this done is they're trying to come up with. They're just letting everybody try to come up with a way to get the message out because they assume that the more people talk about the more famous these global goals are and the more widely they're understood by everyone, apparently they believe the more politicians will take them seriously,
Nope.
finance them properly,
Nope.
and refer to them frequently and make them work.
Nope.
That's not how the world works, especially because the way they're doing it is like take a selfie with a number on your hand.
Presidents always respond to Twitter. That's
Twitter
what they,
selfies of numbers,
Yeah.
or make yourself super dizzy and try to kick a goal. And if you do it, say, I could do this so you can change the world. Or watch Liam Neeson voice a talking llama. Or watch One Direction put together a bunch
Whoa.
of stupid clips.
Why does the one have weird hair now?
See, that's a bigger problem we should be addressing.
Yeah.
It's now.
I don't
now
love One Direction after that one guy left. It made me so upset.
18.
I don't
It's
know
18
anything.
sustainable
I
development
don't know
goals.
anything about One Direction. I just saw the one, and I was like, "What are you?"
You know, so it's like all these things that this really, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this story is because I mean, obviously I think all these goals are good, but I think it's kind of silly that, you know, we're just coming up with these things now, but you know, people have been dying of poverty and inequality for years. But anyway, this all boils back to, like, you guys remember when the whole situation in Darfur was big on Facebook and people were like, for everyone who shares this post, I'll donate 10 cents to the conflict in Darfur.
I think it was to end the conflict in Darfur.
No, they're not supporting
Support it, yeah.
Support the conflict in Darfur. But no, I mean, this just boils down to the fact that internet, you know, being on the internet and trying to be, internet activism doesn't work. It doesn't even exist.
No,
it really doesn't exist.
Here's the thing.
It's narcissism is what it is.
Here's the thing. I tend to agree with you. Because, like, with the Save Our Girls thing, it was bullshit, it didn't work, and we ended up just looking stupid, taking a lot of selfies, and forgetting about these girls. Their plight was not solved.
What about the ice bucket challenge,
that's
too?
what I'm about. No, but that's what I was about to bring up. The ice bucket challenge actually was crazy successful. That's why these things work. They raised so much more money than they have ever raised before.
But that's part of the problem, is that the ice bucket challenge became something you did to look cool, but people were completely screwing it up.
Poured water on their head instead of actually donating, which was the intent.
Enough people.
It doesn't matter
donate.
though. I'm with Teresa on that one. It turned out really, really well for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one positive example
because of that money.
We have one positive example. When you compare that,
well then shit, why not try? You don't. All you're doing is saying take a selfie. I mean,
no, I'm with Justin on the same thing though. Like, I think it's lazy just to retweet stuff and like be part of the hashtag. Like, that's super lazy. The thing about the reason people love the whole ice bucket challenge is because it was fun.
It was
like,
gimmicky, is what it was.
It's not fun to take a selfie.
we are all narcissistic opportunists, and we want to make sure that in the global community we look like we care, and it takes 2 seconds to do something. I bet you not a single person donated a single penny to trying to change the situation in Darfur. They said they did, but I bet you nobody actually donated a penny. And then on top of it, I mean, there's so many other hashtags that are super important that just, you know, people just throw up.
Justin, but it's actually, what? So you're saying that once a tweet hashtag goes out, it's supposed to be solved immediately?
No, but
people were getting together, activists were getting together, using the momentum to move forward and get somewhere. But I also think that it's very different to have a concrete goal. Like, I think that we need to make better regulations about how the police can, like, use violence, as opposed to, like, I would like to end poverty.
Okay, but then what about all the celebrities that got involved in this thing? If you watch the video on the story from NPR, which, you know, we'll have the link in the show notes. But if you watch the video, it's got like a ton of celebrities in it. These people have billions of dollars, but they're going to assume that because they donated their time to say like I'm sick and tired of motivational YouTube videos where it's a sentence and they just have 7 people say the same sentence and then they edit it together where it's like, we need to change. And then like everybody together, the world, you know, like that's not going to do anything. Fine. You want to help end poverty? How about you give us $3 billion of the money that you made off of sequel movie number 9? You know, I absolutely hate internet activism. It's such a joke.
Well, no, I agree. I think internet activism is largely is a joke, but I think it's because of how it's done. I think the Ice Bucket Challenge is like the perfect thing. There's nothing interesting or fun about, I mean, the UN's stupid. Well, the UN, like, who's like, what kids today are like, yeah, the UN, that's cool. I want to learn about that.
Whatever. I was in Model UN and it was the shit.
Yeah, no,
well, you were also a nerd, so.
That stuff is cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
we're homework nerd.
But I'm saying most people don't care about that stuff. So you have to make them care. And taking stupid selfies, writing the number of what you care about on your hand or whatever is not going to make a difference. You need to do something cool. I don't have any examples. I'm just going to complain about it.
But I agree with you, Jared, because I think that You bring up a good point, because I think that when you say, like, do something cool, the ice bucket challenge comes to mind.
Yeah.
But the reason that
People
I think
love that.
part of the reason it was successful was it was like a ridiculous thing. And it's basically like capitalizing on the ridiculousness of AFV, but also they were like, hey, you know that like horrible feeling you get when this ice water is dumped on you? That's sort of what it feels like to get an attack of ALS. And so as you're getting that terrible feeling, you might think about it. And so it like tied in. It all made sense. Whereas, like, writing the number 4 on my hand is not going to do anything for the sustainable goal.
They didn't really spell out any kind of concrete goals. It was just like a bunch of ideas, which the ideas themselves are great, but in a world, in a culture where nobody really cares to pay attention about the government or the UN or anything like that, I think this is the UN just desperate to kind of get people involved and to notice them and pay attention that they're latching on to this hashtag culture that we're in now.
But it also shows how much they don't get it. I feel like they don't understand.
It's I get the thought process, and it's not bad per se, but without having concrete goals, without connecting it with what they're actually asking people to do, I think it's not really going to go anywhere.
And what they're asking people to do is not the kind of thing that citizenry can do. What they're asking people to do is the kind of thing that the governments need to do.
They think that they think that mobilizing people will get governments to listen, which we already know isn't true. Secondly, this story is on NPR, and they don't even bother to share what the sustainable goals even are. The only way you can find out about it from this article is you have to actually watch the video.
Yeah, I was surprised at that too. I kept reading the articles. Okay, well, what are these stupid goals? And then right at the very last time, like that last end of the video, did I finally see them all.
And then what's even more frustrating, and Jared, you were making this point, is that people don't understand, this stuff. And the One Direction video is perfect evidence of that, because if you look at some of the things, they received they came on and they said they want their fans to create videos describing the world they'd like to live in. In 2 months' time, they received 80,000 submissions of photos and videos from 172 countries of people describing the world they want to live in. And they spoke out for women's rights or gay rights or the last slice of pizza rights.
Yeah, dude, last slice of pizza. Shotgun rights.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so this is why this shit doesn't work.
I don't know. If they want to do this thing, like if the UN doesn't see any other way to get people to pay attention to them because they're the UN, and they think this will make people at least pay attention to them, I mean, sometimes that's the hardest step, and if it can't hurt. So just let them do their thing, and if people notice, then great.
You have to applaud them for trying, at least, I guess.
I would agree, and I think it is. Look, here's the thing. If they hadn't put out these stupid videos and pictures, would we be talking about the UN Sustainable Development Goals on the podcast? I would probably submit it, and it would get rejected every week.
Well, yeah, I mean, their goals have nothing to do with our website, but, them using the technology does. Right. So, them making the effort to try to use some of the newer technology makes sense. They suck at it, but it makes sense.
Generally speaking, the UN having development goals, people are not going to talk about it. So if you're trying to make people talk about it, great. If you're actually trying to make a difference beyond making people talk about it, I think this fell flat.
I was actually surprised when I read the story to find out that little short was actually hitting theaters, because I got into the Martian movie late, it was halfway through the trailers, so I didn't get to see if it was actually on the head of this movie. But I'm curious to see what it actually is and if it's in theaters.
Apparently, the console generate. I don't have a transition for this one. Jared,
go. Speaking of the UN.
Speaking of the
UN, and
I don't have a transition for this one, Jared.
So, Michael Pachter, he's trying to bring a console to every impoverished person in the entire world. Hashtag save the consoles for the children. We're starting that right now. Michael Pachter, he's an analyst. He's a video game analyst, works for Wedbush Securities. And he is saying that the console has peaked. So basically, this is the last. We're kind of at the height, or maybe even last generation might have been the height of all consoles, and everything's kind of downhill from here. He's not saying that this is going to be the last generation of consoles, but that everything is going to go down from here. Next, he gave an example comparing the 3DS to the DS, about how the 3DS is basically selling half as much as what the DS was. And he says he's believed the same thing is going to happen with Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo. They're going to keep putting out consoles, but they're not going to do as well year after year.
I mean, that's just because they get more expensive every year. It's harder and harder to purchase one.
I don't know. I don't think that's not really true. I mean, a lot of people. Side note, real quick, a lot of people like have in their mind this idea that things were cheaper back in the day, so to speak.
Yeah, it's all relative
it's not.
because of...
Well, no, it wasn't. It was even more expensive back then. I bought an $80 NES video game, which an $80 NES video game in the 90s is like, what, how much? Like $100 or something at that point? I mean, who knows how much...
Yeah, that was actually, when you said $80, I was like, $80 in the 90s is like...
What
you
game,
could fill up like
NES
7
game
cars.
cost $80?
There are plenty of video games that didn't come out. There was no standardization to video games. Back in that day, in the 8-bit and 16-bit era, plenty of games came out for anywhere from $60 to $80. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but there are tons of examples. Look on the internet. I'm not the only person who has said this.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that you're the only example. I'm just trying to figure out what game... I mean, I had an NES, and I don't remember what game cost $80.
There are plenty of games that... The games were way more expensive back then than they are. Games are cheaper than they have ever been. Now, consoles, that's another thing, but as far as games go, they're cheaper than they've ever been.
What I was going to say to what you were saying, Jared, is that this is just like with E3, where everyone's like, this is it. This is the last year of E3. E3 is dead. You know, this is the same thing. Michael Pachter makes so many predictions all the freaking time. And most of the time, I mean, I think he's wrong more often than he's right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with your second half. I don't agree with the first part, but I think he makes a lot of predictions that don't turn out to be right, which is crazy that he's an analyst to me, because it seems like he's never right. But E3 has certainly gone down in a lot of ways. It's not as big and flashy as it used to be. The attendance is much smaller than it used to be. A lot of things have changed. So E3 is definitely getting smaller. There's a certain point where E3 is going to go away, and I think he's right about the consoles. I mean, consoles have to change. They're not this generation, even though technically it may be selling more than the last generation. Think about it. How many games have come out for these consoles that even matter? Like what game has come out that everyone's like, I have to get a console for this game? I don't think there's one yet. And how many years are we into this? 2 years?
I mean, Destiny is trying to be that, but...
It's trying to be that, but Destiny's not that.
I mean, there's a bunch of games that want to be that game. Like, Fallout 4 is trying to be that game.
Not really. I mean, when you have a game that comes out for every single system, it's not trying to be that game.
I mean, Call of Duty, that's, one of the things we were
Call
going
of
to talk
Duty
about.
hasn't sold well.
But Call of Duty is trying to... You can't... I mean, I don't want to jump into the next story.
It doesn't matter what they're trying to do, though. It's not happening, is my point. Like, there's no game out there right now. Last generation, it was a huge leap. This generation, a lot of people feel like we haven't made a larger graphical leap, which is a larger discussion of why that seems that way. But a lot of people just don't feel like there's a good enough reason to get these new consoles. And that's a problem that Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo haven't addressed.
But what, like, I guess my question is, like, so...
The trough of disillusionment.
Yeah. So they stop making new consoles, and either there just aren't consoles and we stick with what we have because there's no better technology, or we move to some other form of, like, cloud gaming type stuff. I'm not a gamer, so, I play games, but I wouldn't define myself as a gamer. Does it really matter that much? Like, is it really that big of a deal if you don't have a physical console?
Well, they're not talking cloud gaming. They're just talking that you're going to move to, like set-top boxes from the cable provider.
He's not really even saying one way or the other. He's just strictly saying traditional consoles are gone.
Does it really matter that much?
It really doesn't.
To some extent, yeah.
I mean, consoles as we think of them are not going to go away. They're just going to change. They're already becoming kind of hybrids between PCs and set-top boxes anyway. So that is just going to continue to be more pervasive as they cooperate with different partners and they add on media features.
Right, because I feel like, like with the Xbox One, which is really the only one that we have currently, like it integrates and does so many other things that is it just a video game console alone? No. So, if eventually video game consoles get folded into other stuff, I guess I just don't see like why this is supposed to be a big deal. Video games aren't going anywhere, so why does the
that's a whole other conversation. People say that's happening.
That's not going to happen. I mean, the PS4 is going the same route as the Xbox One is doing. It's bolting on all these other different media features, and Sony is actually now even dabbling in TV subscription. I tried out one the other day for Showtime, like a month ago. I did my stupid free trial, so I think the hardcore gamer crowd is going to move a little bit more to the PC for the pure hardcore gaming experiences, and then the people that want the simplicity of a console are going to be totally fine with consoles moving toward this hybrid set-top box thing, and that's just what they're going to change into.
And as far as getting people to go, I mean, this is what I was going to say. As far as getting people to go to the new consoles, what I was going to say Call of Duty is doing is, and that was the next story anyway, is they're not releasing the single player campaign for Black Ops 3 on the PS3 or the Xbox 360. And I know Jared and I talked about this a little bit, but I mean, I want to believe that their argument is, well, it's such a great campaign and it's so advanced that there was just no way to bring it down to the PS3 and the 360 and still offer the same quality experience. But, I mean, it's really just...
No, they want you to buy the new
They want you to buy the new systems, and that's how they're doing it. But at the same time, I think it's a failed practice because most people only care about the multiplayer in Call of Duty games in general. So, I mean...
I was wondering about that single-player campaign. From what it sounds like, is they're trying to make it not necessarily a single-player campaign, but basically a 1-to-4 co-op mode anyway.
Yeah, it's fully co-op.
Right, but does that mean that like the traditional single-player only experience is just not even going to be there, even on the current console?
No, it's the same thing. You're just...
It's just you have the option of
it's like Halo.
People.
It's just
you can play with your friends or you can play
three
alone.
other people. It doesn't it's not like actual co-op elements, and
it's
just
not like Titanfall or Destiny.
Three other people shooting people.
I haven't been following on the COD Blops, so.
Teresa, she's laughing. You've never heard somebody call it COD Blops before? Teresa's never heard COD Blops before. She has a mouthful of water and she's trying not to spit
You need to educate her on the Blops.
I've never heard that before. That was...
Yeah, COD Blops. Call of Duty Black Ops.
This is the third round of Blops, Teresa.
Call of Duty Black Ops.
Like, sort of sounds exactly...
Call of Duty Black Ops.
How I would feel about Call of Duty Black Ops. Like, COD Blops.
COD Blops.
Yeah.
It's an
amazing.
onomatopoeia. But no, anyway, I know more people in the number of years that I've spent selling video games to people. I know more people who, like, if I tell them, oh yeah, this Call of Duty has this awesome feature in the campaign that the other Call of Duty didn't, they're like, I don't care. I don't play the campaign. I've never played a Call of Duty campaign.
What's a campaign?
And so I don't think I bet you that if they hadn't said it, and they just released it, without the campaign on PS3 and Xbox 360, nobody would have noticed.
That's not true. Activision is by far the most. Look, I agree that more people play just the multiplayer than the campaign. That absolutely is true. But there's no way that Activision would allow them to make these grandiose campaigns every single year that are crazy expensive, that are the majority of their budget definitely goes into the campaign. But there's no way that Activision would allow them to do that if there wasn't an audience for that. If they didn't actually have hard concrete numbers that there are people playing it. That was my only thing with when we were talking about it the other day.
Or maybe there's not anymore. Maybe that's the point.
Yeah, because my argument that I made to Jared was that I think that they could just release Call of Duty multiplayer every year and screw the campaign. They don't need to spend millions of dollars to get Kevin Spacey to star in the campaign. Why don't they just do because they get stars to do the multiplayer because they have those weird pseudo multiplayer campaigns anyway.
To be honest, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done that yet and just decided to go
said.
full on Unreal Tournament with it.
The thing is, I'm not disagreeing with you that they could do that and still be very successful. They absolutely could. But our original discussion was you were saying most people don't play, and I'm saying that can't be true. Advanced Warfare was their most expensive game to date. Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
But they're not making. But I'm guaranteed. I mean, here's the thing.
That was also the freshest single player campaign that the series had seen in years.
Regardless, my point is there has to be an audience for them to put that much money. Activision is one of the worst companies at cutting that things like that when it comes to games.
Call of Duty is by far one of, if not the most profitable gaming franchise in the past decade. I mean, so whether or not it's because of a campaign is irrelevant. I mean, the thing is, when you're sitting on a pile of money that big, what is the difference? I mean, I don't think
they can afford to let the minority that care about the single player campaign go.
Well, no, but they also, because Jared's argument is, why would they spend all this money to make a campaign if nobody's playing it? And what I'm trying to say is, they have the money that if 20% of the 100% of people that buy Call of Duty games when they come out play the campaign, they have enough money to the point where it doesn't even bother them. They can just let it roll off their backs and make a multi-million-dollar campaign. They don't need to do that because they're only going to lose 20% of their audience.
But who wants to sacrifice 20% when their sales have been going down every year since Ghost?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe they realize that the sales have been going down, so they're going to cut their losses and say, you know what? We haven't been selling what we used to, so let's cut the cost of the single-player campaign.
But they're not doing that.
Any
That's
amount
my
of
point.
money that we're saving on that
should.
campaign, we're not even going to...
It doesn't matter what they should, though. It's what they are doing.
Because I don't play Call of Duty, and
you don't play COD Blops?
I don't play the COD Blops. I play COD Blops. It's a weird game with fish, though. So, and Justin doesn't play it, so I don't watch it. Do you get anything special for completing, like other than gamer score? Do you get? You
get fake trophies.
But like
that's gamer score, yeah.
But do you get do you get any kind of advancement in the multiplayer? Like, do you get like special weapons and stuff?
Generally, no. You don't get nothing.
So like, there's no
something
incentive.
like that in Advanced Warfare where a portion of your single player progress counted.
Well, I mean, like most games now have like a general XP bar,
right?
And no matter what you do, it applies to that XP bar, and you can lock on it.
But there's no like actual incentive, like, hey, if you play this less popular part of the game, it's really going to help you in this extra popular.
Not
really,
generally, no.
Okay.
They don't really go out of their way for that.
This isn't really. I don't really see this as a big deal though, because the minority of people like myself that mainly does play the campaign and cares about the single player campaign, we're not invested enough in that franchise to really care all that much. I mean, yes.
And there's also the campaign in Call of Duty hasn't done anything worthwhile since Modern Warfare 2. And I'm not saying that all games
I think people really like there's a large group that really love the Black Ops series. I just, like, for the record, I don't give a crap about Call of Duty on any level, so.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, not every game has to be like this huge social warrior and make commentary. But Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was the last one that really left an imprint because it was the first one that dealt with a nuclear device going off in the United States. It was the first one that dealt with your playable character dying, but the story continuing. And it was the first one that dealt with,
Be clear, you're saying for you, not for the player base.
No. I'm saying for Call of Duty games.
No, they're like Black Ops is way bigger than any of the other. Black Ops are campaign and multiplayer are by far the biggest Call of Duty games.
Oh no, I'm saying in terms of what the campaign accomplished.
Oh, what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about.
I was talking about popularity.
I mean,
no. I'm saying
Black
as
Ops
far
campaigns have been unique enough, and they've carved out their own identity, and they've been good enough to capture people's interest. But at the end of the day, it's still, the people, again, like me, that care about that. We're not invested enough in the franchise to do craps.
But nothing that Call of Duty has done campaign-wise has stood out against the no Russian level.
I don't think it's a reasonable expectation.
But who cares?
To expect that.
Why does that matter?
But that's the thing. Like, then why continue to make these campaigns when they're all really just sort of the same?
No, like a lot of people. I know plenty of people.
No,
but like the logic that it has to say something doesn't.
No, it doesn't have to say something, but at least let it be marginally different.
It's just no. They are. The Advanced Warfare game is vastly different.
The Advanced Warfare game is Halo.
No, it's very different.
I've played it. It's definitely not like Halo.
Have you played it, Justin?
I have.
It's the most unique Call of Duty that's come out yet, but I don't think it has to do anything special or different. As long as it's a dumb, fun action game, people are going to play it.
They're going to play the multiplayer.
Well, they're going to play either or both.
Nobody plays.
I mean, even as new and fresh as the Advanced Warfare campaign was, it wasn't enough to kind of bring back a revitalization of that single-player campaign by far.
I don't know. Nothing. I just know from this is personal experience. It's only in a very small, very, 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 very microscopically small portion of the world population. You would need like an ultra super powered microscope to even see it.
Based on no facts at all.
Based on based on everything
based on
being
the statistic I just made up.
Completely making this up, pulling it out of my ass. No, but seriously,
unlike everything else,
based on this very, very, very small sample of the world population, a drop in the bucket. I just and other metaphors if I can think of them. I just know that the people that I have dealt with in a retail environment have by and large been like, yeah, Call of Duty campaigns don't mean anything to me.
I think we're arguing two different things here because my point isn't that I disagree with that. I 100% agree with you on that. My point is Activision would never do this if there wasn't an audience for it. That's my point.
They're not doing it anymore, though. That's
they're only doing it on the old consoles.
Next-gen.
And they're not doing it because it's not cost efficient.
Well, I mean,
that's why
they also said that they couldn't really make it work all that well on previous gen.
Well,
so
yeah,
maybe it's just not worth
well.
the extra dev time it would take to make it running smooth.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, those consoles don't matter as much as the new ones. My only point is that they wouldn't do... Well, because me and Justin, we use this as a jumping off point the other day to argue about whether or not they should keep why they keep campaigns.
And and what I was saying is this all leads back to when Jared said when we were talking about Michael Pachter that there are no games out there that are designed to encourage people to come over to the new consoles. I think this is, Call of Duty is taking that first bold. Well, Mortal Kombat took the first bold step.
I think it's a financial thing and nothing more. I don't think it's like they're like, hey, we really want you on the new ones. I think they're just like, we want you on the new ones just so we don't have to develop for these old stupid ones.
Yeah, but that still is a reason to encourage people to come over.
But it's not like that's not what I mean. Like people aren't buying the consoles for the Call of Duty in the way that they were buying consoles last generation for some of those big tentpole games that were coming out that were exclusives for those consoles.
But keep in mind, we also, as of E3 this year, E3 2015, there were a lot of exclusives that showed up that could be those games.
Name one.
I don't know the name of the game, but the dinosaur game for the PS4.
Yeah, I know
with the
robot
I know the
dinosaurs.
Yeah, that one looks awesome.
Yeah,
but I don't
get
think
a PS4
that's big
for
enough.
that game.
But that's not. But I'm talking about mass appeal. We're the enthusiasts. They need people on a mass audience level to get sucked in.
But how could that not be? That is Call of Duty, though. That's Call of Duty. That's Halo.
It's not. Call of Duty's on everything now. That's why it doesn't matter.
What about Halo?
Halo has been down for so long. Halo does not sell consoles the way it did. Halo hasn't sold consoles the way it did since Halo 3.
To be fair, a number of Justin's friends bought Xbox One so that they could all play Halo together. I will say that, but that's obviously not like a statistic.
Was it the Master Chief Collection?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because they botched that so ridiculously badly.
But those were all people who wanted those old games. Like, you're not getting a lot of new people with Master Chief Collection either.
Yeah.
Well,
but
then,
sold
Jared,
consoles, though.
I mean, that's the thing. You could say that about any franchise, though. Like, there's going to be a new Gears of War game. Well, that's not going to be... Gears of War doesn't sell consoles. But that's an exclusive.
That's an exclusive. But, I mean, again...
There's going to be a new Uncharted game, but Uncharted doesn't sell consoles like it used to. So, I mean, are you looking for a new IP?
That's my point.
What is it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my point. We
don't live in an era of new IPs. We live in an era of rehashed...
Except for we did... No, I think there's plenty of new IPs.
I think in terms of new IP, it's really tough to say, especially when you're given just a snippet at E3, what new IP will become the new phenomenon. So I don't think that's really an assessment we can make yet.
Well, yeah, that's true. But look at last generation. What is the one game that you had to get that console for? Even looking at the first 3 years, you don't even have to go past that. Looking at the first 3 years.
But that's the thing, I can't even think back about a game. Like, I got the 360 to play Halo 3. I'm pretty sure. Either Halo 3 or Resident Evil 5, one or the other.
Look, the last console I bought for myself because I needed to have it right away was the N64.
And I bought a PS3 at the end of its life cycle because there were a number of God of War, Uncharted, Last of Us that I wanted to play, and I played through them. But I mean,
tended to play more. That was kind of the point that I was trying to make about the N64 is that I tend to play not as an enthusiastic gamer.
Enthusiast?
Well, no, I'm not.
She's very droll. I don't enjoy this at all. I'm very unenthusiastic.
That's not what droll means. But no, I'm not as big of a gaming enthusiast as you guys. But don't put that pacifier in my mouth. I am much more willing to play old games. I don't find that there's anything that is coming out on consoles that makes me want to run out and buy them.
I just feel like that there's no, and I mean, I'm not trying to, make more of an argument, but Jared, based on what I'm understanding, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a game that would fit the requirement for what you're talking about. Because
I think they're kind of too late in the game now. They started off on a bad foot, and I think that is kind of the killer of it all. I think it's more than just the game. There's a lot to it. Last generation, when we saw that new generation of 360, when we jumped from the PS2 and the Xbox to the 360 and the PS3, it was mind-blowingly different in some cases. It was crazy how much it changed. From everything we went on to the PS4 and the Xbox One, everyone's like, I've seen better stuff on PC. There's better stuff that exists out there.
And I've been saying for a while now, I think that's largely because these consoles weren't necessary.
Well, no, they were definitely necessary, but they didn't take enough risk and go as far as they needed to go in the power department.
Well, Microsoft started to, but then they got a huge backlash.
Well, I mean, I don't mean in the sense of, I agree with you. Microsoft should have stuck with what they did, but they didn't take it far enough in terms of the hardware. If you look at Metal Gear Solid 5, which is one of the most impressive games that has come out in terms of graphics quality, not just it looks nice, but the actual details.
You're not going to find more realistic horse poop anywhere else in the gaming industry.
The way he poops on Snake's face is so hot. But if you look at the PS4 and the Xbox One versions, they look so muddy and ugly compared to the PC version.
But Jared, wouldn't those consoles then, if to get the hardware that you want in them, wouldn't they be prohibitively expensive?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but, then that's why they didn't do it.
But no, that's not true at all. Every single console maker loses money on consoles. They make all their money on software.
Nintendo doesn't. They still make money every week.
Except for Nintendo. Nintendo's the only one. Yeah, that's right. I am wrong about that. But when it comes to Microsoft and Sony and everyone else, they have always lost money. They always go into the red because they make it up. 8 years down. It took what? PS4 took 7 or 8 years before they got in the black. Yeah, PS3 took 7 or 8 years before they got in the black.
And that was at least 2 hardware revisions later.
Right. You have to make a console that people are going to want to love. You're going to blow them away, so they spend the money on it, and then they only buy games on your consoles. Neither console did that. They both played it safe.
But
I think that's why they're kind of doubling down on all their cross-media services now too.
Yeah, which is a good way to go. I'm for that, but
that's probably the best decision for them to make, is kind of just veer more in that direction and become this kind of a PC media hybrid.
I'm basically just saying I agree with Michael Pachter. I think he's absolutely right on this one, that we are seeing the slow decline of the console as we know it.
I think the definition of the word console is going to change. I don't think it's going to go away as he strictly predicts, but it's just going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, I always take Pachter with a grain of salt. Like I said, he's more often wrong than he's right, but I don't... We'd have to really see. It depends on how long this generation lasts. I mean, you already got Nintendo developing whatever the NX is, so it's one of those things where it's if this ends up being a 5-year cycle, well, then realistically, what could be next? But if it's another 8 to 10 year cycle, then yeah, maybe we will have gotten somewhere in these 8 to 10 years, technologically speaking, that this could be the last console generation. But I think that it largely just depends on how long the Xbox One, PS4, Wii U generation lasts.
And it also depends on what they become too. The 360 and the PS3 at the end of their life cycle were vastly different machines, both in capability and the games from when they first
Yeah.
started. So we're just beginning to see where things are going to go. It's an interesting time, to say the least.
We live in interesting times. And that seems like a good point to round off on. We live in interesting times, and we bid you all adieu. No. Does anybody have any thing that they want to share, something they've seen or something they've been doing this week that they think is interesting?
Don't spend your money on Tony Hawk 5.
Did you play it?
Yeah, I've heard the same things.
I bought it. It is... It's way too long to even get into it now, but think of all the cool stuff you loved about Tony Hawk, the personality,
The music.
the awesome gameplay, the music. None of that exists.
Really?
Yeah, like there's no story to it. Not that anyone cared about the story, but
Was there a story
always
in the original ones?
Yeah, but there was always an atmosphere of you go to all these different levels, and there's kind of a theme to the level. There's a craziness to it. There's, you meet all these dumb characters along the way. It had a real personality to it. And this one, it's just like, you're a skateboarder and you show up in this place, and so we have all these weird online features that don't make sense, and you're constantly having to go to load screens, and you just kind of do mini games, and that's it.
I heard it was glitchy, too.
It is really glitchy. Sometimes you slam down.
Who's in the game? Is it 2 Chainz? Somebody crazy is in it.
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne is in it?
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
What, you mean you haven't ever wanted to skateboard as Lil Wayne?
Young Wheezy?
Yeah, no.
Tunchi? Lil Tunchi?
Are these all his names? Because I've never heard of that one. I've heard
Listen
the
to a
first
Lil
one.
Wayne album once. Get some culture, Justin.
This
Jesus.
is a cultural wasteland.
At least I know who Rushhead Face is.
Yeah, Salamander Rushface?
Salamander Rushhead. He's also in the game.
That's awesome.
Let's not open that Pandora's box again.
And real quick, Soma is awesome. You should play it.
I've heard a lot
I've
What
been
is
meaning
it?
to play that. I still have not. It's a horror game.
I was like, Soma's a brand of lingerie.
You should wear that while playing it. Ideally.
Horrific lingerie.
It's super comfy, actually.
And it's only on PC, right?
It's on PS4 as well.
No, yeah, I downloaded it on PS4. It's full price though. It's like $30.
You have to pay for all of it to play it. I mean, what the hell?
Well, no, it's like when I first heard about it, and it's download only, right, Jared?
Yeah.
Okay, well, when I first heard that, I thought it would be like the normal, like $15, maybe $20, but no, it's like a full title.
It's definitely worth it. It's from the same guys who made Amnesia, Fractional Games, and it's not traditional horror, but it has horror elements in it. And
I heard the story goes into some really interesting and kind of weird places too.
yeah, there's a lot of questions about like what it means to be human, and like at what point do you stop being human. And it's really cool. No game has really explored some of those themes, so it's pretty cool.
I can't wait to play it.
And it's underwater, like BioShock.
I have something that I wanted to talk about.
Nobody cares.
Thank you, Justin. I watched the entirety of the Honey Boo Boo rap video.
What?
Why would you do such a thing?
Okay,
Get some culture, Jerry. Jeez.
I was definitely supposed to be doing some reading for school, and I like fell down an internet rabbit hole.
You made a good decision.
Well, the worst part is it was like, talk about opening a Pandora's box. So I click on the link and I start watching this Honey Boo Boo rap video, which is like worse than you think it is, if that's possible. And it was like really mystifying. And then there was this weird guy and I was like, who are you, weird guy? And so I Googled him and it turns out that he makes these music videos with other non-celebrities. So like he did this weird song called Sexy Party with the Octomom. So of course then I had to go listen to that.
Nice.
And like 3 hours later I had watched like both of Farrah Abrams's videos.
I thought her last name was Abraham.
Wait, which videos?
Yeah, which...
Yeah, no, not the porn.
Okay.
Let's be clear. I watched her terrible music videos. But yeah, so the Honey Boo Boo rap video exists and is just like so... I don't even have words for it. It's just so confusing. I clicked on it and really the only reason I watched it through its entirety is because I was sitting there with my jaw hanging open and I was like paralyzed. I couldn't move. If you
I'm
were
gonna
thinking,
watch that.
Yeah, I was like, if you're thinking about watching it, that's my review.
We'll link to it. We'll link to the video in the show notes.
We'll play it as the theme song this
That'll
week.
be the theme song, yeah.
Yeah, and then I had
And
my
every
story
other
about
week.
that lady in New Jersey, but you think that it's
What about Lady in New Jersey?
you thought it was prejudicial against people in New Jersey. No, I'll just tell the story. There was this woman a fashion designer who was participating in Fashion Week in New York, and she was driving and she pulled a Yui in the Lincoln Tunnel. And like in front of a cop, and of course immediately got arrested. But when the cop arrested her, she had like a bunch of cocaine in the car.
Like you do.
Nice.
And when the cop was like, "Are you like serious right now?" Because I was right there. She was like, "Yeah, whatever, just arrest me. I just really didn't want to go to New Jersey." And he was like, "So are you kidding me right now? Like you just got yourself arrested with a car full of coke?" And it was because she didn't want to go to New Jersey.
And what made it worse is it was new coke.
Cut it. Someone pull the plug.
Well, also, like, you don't want to go to New Jersey so much that you can't just, like, drive through the tunnel and turn around. Like, you have to get yourself arrested. That's better than going
Jersey
to
is that bad.
I've been to Jersey. There are parts that are pleasant.
No, I live right next to Jersey. A lot of my friends live in Jersey.
The Beginner's Guide came out this week. The next game from the company that made the Stanley Parable.
Well, the guy. It's one guy.
Well,
really.
yeah, the guy. But
I mean, there's other people involved, but it's mainly one guy.
I want to play it. Jared, you were telling me that like there's no way to talk about it unless you've played it because it's like all spoilers. But now I guess I was just worried because the Stanley Parable was sort of a cult hit, and I didn't want it to be sort of like I'm going to buy this game because of how good Stanley Parable was, but it won't be as good because really Stanley Parable isn't great, but it was just such a different experience that it became a big deal.
I think Stanley Parable is great. I really liked it. But if you like Stanley Parable, the Beginner's Guide is not like Stanley's Parable, other than the Stanley Parable, other than the fact that it's something that has never been done in video games before. The Beginner's Guide is extremely unique, and I can't recommend that everyone play it, but if you're the type of person who wants to experience something that you've never experienced in a video game, and I don't know, you like kind of the design sensibility from the guy who created the Stanley Parable, then I think you would like it. It's only $8, so you only get an hour and a half of game out of it. But
would you recommend? Is it better than Shower with Your Dad Simulator 2015?
I think it is, only because there is not enough dads in Shower with Your Dad Simulator 2015.
You feel like your dad was underrepresented?
Yeah, the dad ratio was pretty disappointing. But the Beginner's Guide is, I went through a whole series of emotions, which sounds like a ridiculous thing to say now that I say it out loud.
Lame.
But
Cut it.
Not like sad. I didn't cry. Oh, I cried when Ares died in Final Fantasy VII.
Like the comparison that I heard or that I read earlier today, I think it was, whereas the Stanley Parable is more of a commentary on games and playing games. In the same sense, the Beginner's Guide is a commentary on the making of the game.
Yeah.
In kind of a similar way.
Yeah, it's so hard to talk about without spoiling anything because
don't.
I just recommend if you're interested,
I
just
would
play
rather
it.
you say less and because it sounds really intriguing and I do want to play it.
I think you should just play it in general. I don't know.
Is that on Steam?
Yeah. It's one of those games, don't look up gameplay, don't read a review, try not to read anything, just go to the Steam page, look at it. If it seems interesting, just buy it.
I'm also interested in what the guys from Gone Home are making.
Tacoma.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be a much bigger experience because that's coming out on the Xbox One rather.
Yeah. Well, on everything, I think.
Is it coming? Is it cross-platform?
Isn't it? It's supposed to be. If not, I don't know if on release, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, just two games that really were very kind of different when they came out, spawning sequels that could also potentially be very different. Yeah. Jared, close us out. Bring us home.
Hey everyone, this was the end of episode 8 of Implied Nerdity. If you like what you're listening to, you should subscribe to us on iTunes or on Spreaker? I'm not sure it's Spreaker? That's how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
We're up on there. Hey, if you can do us a big favor and follow us on Spreaker. It would mean a lot because we're trying to get on iHeartRadio as a podcast thing, and you need to get a certain number of followers on Spreaker. So if you like us, please follow us on there. If you've got some time, maybe give us a rating on iTunes. That'd be pretty cool. That helps us out.
Yeah, wherever you listen to us, please. Any feedback is, important.
Yeah, and if you have other feedback that you don't want to do at those websites, you should email us, podcast@thegrownupgeek.com. You can send us stories, and we will talk about them. You can send us feedback on what you like or you don't like about us, and we'll probably ignore it, but we will still get it, and someone will delete it. So
if you want to send us in the mail, just write your suggestion on the back of a $20 bill, and I'll promise you we will read that suggestion.
Look, honestly, if I'm trying to avoid doing my homework, I'll probably read your suggestion. If you send me a rap video, I'll watch it.
Yeah, send your mixtapes
Yes.
to Teresa at thegrownupgeek.com.
Even story suggestions, because that one that we got this week turned out to be a really great discussion.
yeah, People was the one we got a listener email from.
And if you do, actually, you know what? If you email us and let us know who you are, we will send you an autographed picture of sexy, salty Travis. I don't hear an argument.
Yeah.
I'll let them make
Travis is like, yep.
and I won't tell you if my clothes will be on or not. You'll just have to
Clothing
find
optional. Please put that in your email.
Yes.
You can find us at thegrownupgeek.com. We are on Facebook and Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. Even though we're not always using those all the time, you should still follow us, subscribe to us, because we'll be using them in the future. So check us out, thegrownupgeek.com. That's all I got. Justin. Oh, wait. We had a book podcast that recently came out for Ernest Cline's Armada. You should check that out. Even if you haven't. Spinebreakers is the name of the podcast, yes. If you haven't read the book, then you should at least listen to like the first 15 minutes or so you get an idea of what we think, and then maybe come back after reading it, and if you choose to read it, and then listen to our spoiler cast about it.
Yes, and we do announce at the end of that podcast what the book of the month is for October. If you don't want to listen all the way through, we show it on Facebook and on Twitter as well, but, we can also share it here. For the month of October, we will be reading the book Crooked by Austin Grossman. So if you want to grab a copy of that at the, I just kind of realized, is it crooked or is it crooked? I don't know. Because is it crooked? Because it's the whole,
Crook.
Yeah, I'm not.
That actually does make sense.
I think it's crooked. I think saying
I am
crooked,
not a crooked.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm not. I think it's crooked. But anyway, the point is, Austin Grossman, Crooked or Crooked, spelled the same way. Get it at your local library, or if you're going to get it through Amazon or for your Kindle, check out our website. We have links that we'll put up to get it through our Amazon affiliates, which helps us bring better content to you guys. Jared, anything else you got to say before we wrap this up?
Nothing. I've got nothing at all. I'm at the end of my rope.
All right. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. We're done. That's it.
We out.
See you guys next week.